You know, you likely woke up this morning, poured a cup of coffee in the total safety of your kitchen, and
And
then,
then completely ignored all of that safety.
right, without a second thought, you stepped into a metal box and trusted like 100 absolute strangers with your life at 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, it really is a bizarre paradox when you
Yeah.
stop to actually analyze it.
It's crazy. I mean, we demand absolute guarantees before placing our physical survival in someone else's hands in, well, almost every other aspect of human existence.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
You wouldn't let a random person off the street perform dental surgery on you.
no.
And you wouldn't eat food prepared by someone who clearly wasn't paying attention.
But then you turn the ignition key, right?
Yeah,
And you enter this high-speed concrete landscape governed almost entirely by unexamined trust.
it is the absolute definition of a blind leap of faith. I mean, millions of people every single morning stepping onto the asphalt with this quiet, almost invisible assumption that today will simply unfold exactly like yesterday did.
Which is statistically wild.
Right. But the alternative to that trust is total paralysis. So
Yeah.
we simply choose not to think about the mathematical improbability of it all working out.
Well, welcome to today's deep dive. We are spending our entire time today exploring a really profound psychological analysis of your daily commute.
Yeah, it's a great topic.
We're relying exclusively on the foundational first chapter of the book, HarGhar Se EkSainik. And our mission here is to take that, that gray, monotonous corridor you travel between point A and point B and completely reframe it for you.
Exactly. We are going to look at the road not as a transit route, but as a high-stakes psychological mirror.
So, diving right into chapter 1, the author presents this fascinating premise.
Yeah, arguing that modern society has been entirely conditioned to view roads merely as functional, unremarkable arteries of commerce and transit,
Right, we evaluate them based on speed and efficiency.
which completely blinds us to what they actually are on a human level.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Because if you're standing in a queue at a coffee shop or sitting in a crowded waiting room, the absolute worst a stranger can do to you is, I don't know, take your seat or step on your shoe.
The stakes are incredibly low there.
Right. But on the road, that exact same stranger holds your actual life in their hands. Why are we so willing to casually trust absolute strangers with our survival every single morning?
Well, the source text labels this environment a shared space of consequences. Think about the weight of that phrase for a second.
Shared space of consequences. Wow.
Right. No legal document created this bond between you and the other drivers. You didn't sign a liability waiver with the person driving in the lane next to you,
Definitely not. You've never even met them.
and you will likely never see them again. But for a few shared kilometers, the quality of that stranger's cognitive attention is physically woven into your bodily safety.
And my attention is woven into theirs. It's like a continuous, invisible contract of mutual survival. Every time I merge onto a highway, I'm actively trusting that the driver next to me, got 8 hours of sleep.
Or at least enough to stay awake.
Yeah. I'm trusting that they aren't currently arguing with their spouse on the phone, that their brake pads actually work, and that they aren't going to suddenly swerve to avoid a piece of debris.
And they are making the exact same monumental assumptions about you. The problem is that human psychology is fundamentally terrible at maintaining a state of high alert for prolonged periods.
Especially when no immediate threat is, right there in front of you.
Exactly. The human brain is essentially an energy-saving organ. When you place a human mind in a life or death scenario,
Like driving at highway speeds.
right, but you make that scenario repetitive and visually monotonous, like a daily commute, the brain begins to optimize for cognitive efficiency rather than active survival.
Because sitting in stop-and-go traffic listening to the radio does not trigger a fight or flight response. It just doesn't.
No, it feels incredibly mundane.
It feels like an extension of our living room.
And that feeling of the mundane is the exact psychological trap the book talks about. Evolutionary biology wired us to habituate to our surroundings, to conserve mental energy.
Like if an early human walks down a specific jungle path 100 times and a tiger never jumps out.
The brain literally stops expending calories actively looking for the tiger.
Wow. Okay, so on the road, this evolutionary shortcut creates a fatal blind spot.
It really does. The text introduces this chilling reality. The danger hides inside what has stopped feeling dangerous.
Let's apply that mechanism to a real-world scenario from the text, because the chapter paints a very specific, honestly kind of terrifying picture of a school van.
Oh, the school van example.
Right.
Yes.
So it's designed to carry 6 children safely. But the morning, it pulls away from the gate carrying 12.
Double the capacity.
Exactly. 2 kids are crammed into a single seat. One is standing near the door, simply gripping the headrest in front of him just to stay upright.
From an objective physical standpoint, the risk there is massive. The kinetic energy involved in a sudden braking event would be catastrophic for those unrestrained children.
And the parents watching from the school gate, they definitely possess the basic spatial awareness to recognize that danger.
Oh, for sure. Their instinctual threat detection system flags it immediately. They feel a flicker of cognitive dissonance.
But then the van turns the corner, the morning schedule beckons, and that unease just completely dissipates.
It dissipates because of the unbroken track record. The human brain constantly looks for patterns to establish safety. Those kids arrived safely yesterday.
And they arrived safely back before that.
Exactly. So the parents' brains interpret those safe outcomes as concrete proof of a safe system.
Rather than recognizing it for what it actually is, which is just a lucky gamble that simply hasn't run out yet.
The author connects this directly to the gambler's fallacy, but applied to human life. The daily gamble of overloading that van has been repeated so many times without a negative consequence that it literally ceases to register as a gamble in the minds of the participants.
It just becomes an accepted baseline reality.
Right. The absence of an accident is falsely cataloged as the presence of safety.
But wait, shouldn't my experience on a specific road make me a safer driver? Like, I drive the same 3-mile stretch of neighborhood streets every single day.
Sure, you know the row.
Right. I know exactly where the pavement dips. I know which intersections have, like, really poor visibility, and I know the timing of the traffic lights.
You feel like an expert on that road.
I do. That local knowledge has to make me a more secure driver than someone relying entirely on a GPS for the first time, doesn't it?
Well, according to Chapter 1, that is the illusion of the mental map. When you navigate the exact same physical space 1,000 times, you actually stop actively observing the current real-time reality of the road.
Wait, really? So I'm not even looking.
Your brain shifts from active sensory processing to memory retrieval.
Yeah.
You stop driving through the physical environment and start driving through your memory of the environment.
Oh, wow. It's like it's the vehicular equivalent of hitting the snooze button on an alarm clock.
That is a perfect analogy.
You do it 99 times, knowing exactly the maximum number of minutes you can delay before you truly have to get out of bed to make it to work on time.
You become a master of that specific morning routine.
Right. But on the 100th day, the shower takes 2 minutes longer than usual, the traffic is slightly heavier, and boom, you miss your flight.
Exactly. And on the road, that mental map creates a dangerous asymmetry of information. The book provides a great example to illustrate this. Let's say you know there is a large, jagged stone that always sits on a particular stretch of the shoulder near your house.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
As you approach that specific mile marker, you brake suddenly and swerve a few inches to the left to avoid it.
Because I know it's there.
Right. To your brain, this is a successful deployment of earned knowledge. You feel like a highly competent driver managing your environment.
Because I anticipated the obstacle and avoided it.
But your expertise just introduced a completely unpredictable variable for the driver directly behind you.
Oh, because they don't have my map.
Exactly. The stranger driving behind you is forced to navigate the physical present, not your mental map. They possess no historical data regarding that stone on the shoulder.
So when I hit my brakes without warning.
Your private earned expertise just became their sudden life-threatening emergency.
Wow.
The human mind vastly prefers the certainty of what it already knows over the continuous exhausting effort of active attention. On a shared road, the cost of that cognitive efficiency falls entirely on people who had no part in forming your mental map.
But relying on an internal map assumes the external world stays static. And here's where it gets really interesting, because the road is anything but static. We aren't just sharing the asphalt with clones of ourselves driving the exact same types of vehicles at the exact same speeds.
No, the external reality is what the book defines as a mixed ecosystem. It is a highly chaotic environment. The author asks the reader to observe a single stretch of road at one exact moment in time to really understand the scale of this chaos.
What's the scene they describe?
Well, occupying the exact same physical patch of asphalt, you have a heavy goods vehicle hauling several tons of industrial material. Next to it is a private sedan. Squeezed on the edge of the lane is a cyclist.
Right.
Crossing the street is a man pushing a heavy wooden cart, and walking along the shoulder is a group of school children.
It's insane when you lay it out like that. We are forcing incredibly diverse masses moving at vastly different velocities to occupy the exact same physical space simultaneously.
Yes.
A 5-ton truck and a 50-kilogram child are operating in the same dimension.
It highlights a massive structural clash between infrastructure design and daily human reality. The text uses the example of a modern highway that has been paved directly through a rural village. The infrastructure was engineered solely for high-speed connectivity between major urban centers. But the ground reality is that a local farmer driving a tractor must use that main route because no service road was ever constructed.
And those school children from the earlier example must walk along the highway's edge because no pedestrian footpath was ever provided by the planners.
Exactly. You have two completely different sets of rules trying to dominate the same environment. You have the logic of the highway.
Right, and this logic is all about continuous flow, codified legal speed limits, and maximum efficiency.
It is the mindset of the driver in the sedan who is trying to get to a corporate meeting 20 miles away.
Then you have the logic of daily life. This is the woman who has been standing on the median for 4 minutes holding heavy groceries, waiting for a gap in traffic to cross to her home.
Her morning schedule simply will not allow her to wait any longer, so she steps out into the lane.
And when those two logics collide, the friction is instantaneous and often violent. The driver in the sedan sees a 60-kilometer-per-hour speed limit sign. They feel entirely justified in traveling at 60.
Because they are following the codified rules of the highway and feel legally protected in doing so.
But the codified rule and the physical reality are entirely disconnected. The road's surface condition, its narrow width, the immediate presence of the pushcart and the pedestrians.
All of that dictates that the environment cannot safely absorb a vehicle moving at 60 kilometers per hour, regardless of what the metal sign dictates.
Right.
Every single driver, pedestrian, and cyclist is forced to navigate this intense, continuous friction between what the law permits and what the chaotic reality demands, second by second.
It's just a recipe for disaster. We are taking flawed human cognition brains that desperately want to operate on autopilot and rely on outdated mental maps, and we are isolating them inside soundproof metal boxes.
And then propelling those boxes at high speeds through this incredibly stressful, high-friction mixed ecosystem.
It is an environment fundamentally primed for failure. So what does this all mean?
Well, the author pushes beyond the physics and the infrastructure to reach the philosophical core of the chapter. When you isolate human beings inside these metal boxes under these specific high-stress conditions, it strips away societal conditioning.
Oh, this part is fascinating.
The road becomes a powerful mirror reflecting unfiltered human nature.
Because in almost every other aspect of life, we are consciously performing for an audience, right? In an office setting or at a dinner party, we constantly moderate our behavior based on who is observing us.
We maintain a professional, courteous persona because there are immediate social and economic consequences to breaking it.
But the road is one of the few arenas in modern society where that social performance is entirely dismantled.
Yes. Behind a tinted windshield, moving at 60 miles an hour, you occupy a highly unique and dangerous psychological position. You are entirely visible to hundreds of people around you, but you are accountable to none of them.
Being highly visible yet completely unaccountable removes the social friction that usually keeps selfish behavior in check. It creates this false sense of invincibility and isolation.
And it surfaces the habitual, unconsidered version of who someone truly is when they believe observation doesn't carry consequences. Drivers constantly make rapid, private calculations.
Like running an amber light that is clearly turning red.
Or taking an incredibly tight gap in traffic just to get one car length ahead. Glancing down at a phone screen to read a text message because the traffic flow has temporarily slowed.
From the driver's seat, those actions don't register as moral failings or ethical breaches. They just feel like the necessary, pragmatic micro-adjustments of a busy morning. You are just trying to save 2 minutes of time.
This is where the concept of transfers of risk becomes the central lesson of the text. When you take that tight gap to save 2 minutes, you are not generating free time out of thin air.
No, I'm literally spending someone else's safety margin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are taking the physical risk generated by your impatience or your distraction, and you are transferring the weight of that risk onto innocent strangers.
It's wild to think about it that way.
Risk operates like a tangible currency on the road, and taking a shortcut is essentially a theft of safety from the surrounding ecosystem.
So I am offloading the danger of my own actions onto the driver next to me, banking on the hope that their reflexes and their brake pads will compensate for my negligence.
It is an externalization of cost, much like a factory dumping pollution into a shared river.
The text offers a really sobering reminder regarding this dynamic. The physical road does not know what country it passes through.
No, it is entirely indifferent to your backstory. It does not care about your intentions, how late you are for a crucial meeting, how much you love your family, or how charitable you are in your personal life.
It only registers the cold physics of mass, velocity, and trajectory.
The physics of the road do not negotiate with our internal justifications. What a person does at a junction when no one who knows them is watching.
How they treat a vulnerable pedestrian who is momentarily slowing their progress.
Whether they maintain their lane discipline when drifting might save them 3 seconds. These small, completely unwitnessed decisions are the most honest, unfiltered expressions of a person's actual character.
That fundamentally destroys the concept of the commute as a passive dead zone. It is not a pause button between your house and your office where you can simply check out mentally.
No, not at all.
It is an active, high-stakes moral arena where your decisions have immediate, kinetic consequences for the community around you.
And the deepest reason the casualty rates on our roads remain so persistently high is this collective failure to see the environment clearly. We persist in viewing these routes merely as functional corridors for personal movement, rather than recognizing them as the profound shared spaces of consequence they actually are.
So, to distill the core insight from today's deep dive into the first chapter of HarGhar Se EkSainik, your daily commute is an exercise in mutual survival. Every single time you turn the ignition, you enter into a silent, binding contract with strangers you will never meet.
Your attention span, your patience, and those tiny, unexamined habits you deploy behind the wheel are woven directly into their chances of making it home safely to their families.
And their unexamined habits are woven directly into yours.
The windshield strips away the polished, curated version of who we pretend to be in society, leaving only the reality of what we actually do when we think no one who matters is looking.
We want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you go about your day. Analyze your own behavior the next time you get behind the wheel. Identify one specific tiny habit you have on the road that you secretly classify as a harmless shortcut.
Maybe it's rolling through a specific stop sign in your neighborhood because the intersection is usually empty.
Or perhaps it's creeping into the pedestrian crosswalk while waiting for a traffic light to change. Now imagine a scenario where every single person sharing the road with you tomorrow morning took that exact same shortcut at the exact same moment. What would your commute look like then?